Buongiorno, welcome to My Way of Thinking podcast, or MWOT for short, hosted by me, Lee Greeno, here live from the Man Cave every week. Hope you're doing well. The weather's getting better. We've had a couple of nice weekends now. It's starting to get lighter in the evening. I'm recording this quite late at night, and I just can't wait for the summer to have all the doors, windows open, sun blaring in. It's going to be so much fun. I hope you're all staying very positive. Now, the podcast is streamed on all the usual platforms, and if you do listen via Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star rating on there, as it makes a huge difference. The video, the chat is on YouTube as well. If you put My Way of Thinking podcast in any of the social media outlets, we will pop up. Misses. Also, take a look at the previous podcast. Now, last week we did Mental Health Week, which I've had some great comments about it, which is fantastic. People have really enjoyed it. 3 brilliant specialists, all talking about mental health, just offering advice. It was on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. We had the brilliant Victoria English on Wednesday, Robert Chandler on Thursday, and then Sarah McCaffrey on Friday. If you didn't listen to them, go back. You can look on YouTube or on the podcast, Spotify or Apple. But brilliant podcasts and really great advice, so look back on them. Now, My Way of Thinking is all about us, amazing human beings that all have a story to tell. Those stories can vary massively, but one thing, with the guests I'll be interviewing, you'll always be able to take a little bit of advice or insight into how extraordinary we can all be. Remember 4 rules: 1, no bullshitting; 2, no judging; 3, no negativity; and 4, have fun. Now, today I am talking to the brilliant Oliver Price. Oliver's such a lovely guy. He's done so much with his acting career, with bodybuilding, and it's interesting to hear about how he's growing up and how he fitted in. But he's just so laser focused when he gets something in his mind. He's worked on brilliant television and films. He's worked on Vikings, Guardians of the Galaxy. He talks about training with The Rock, which is an interesting one, and David Bautista, about training with him. Just a lovely guy. Really enjoyed talking to him, and I could just see his career just keep going and going. It just keeps rolling forward. He's getting bigger and bigger roles all the time. So just a great insight and a lovely guy to speak to. Okay, this is me talking to Oliver. Okay, so welcome to My Way of Thinking. Got a very special guest on today. It is the one and only Mr. Oliver Price. Woo! Welcome, Oliver. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thanks. You?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I was just thinking, today it's not raining, it's not snowing, it's actually a little bit dry, and we had sun for about 5 minutes, and I ran outside and I was like, vitamin D.
Yeah. I know, and you know you're getting a bit older when you're thinking, oh, it's a nice dry day, it's quite mild, I'll get some gardening done. I'm dying to get some new stuff in the garden, so I'm just waiting for a slot.
Well,
we're going to be having so.
I know. Well, we've got chickens, and it's my wife and my daughter. It's their hobby or whatever, and they are funny. And as soon as it's dry, I'm like, go and clean them chickens out. And they're like, trudge out. Oh.
That's non-stop. I used to live on a farm, and chickens, and it's non-stop, isn't it? Cleaning them out. And
We've only got 2. We got them. They were battery chickens, so they were, really mistreated. And when we got them, they had no feathers or anything. Now they're loving life. They eat mealworms, cheese, run around the garden.
Yeah, that's great.
Best life ever. Okay, now what I always do at the start of an interview, I'll read the news, and it is quite depressing over the last 12 months. So we always look at some funny stories. And there's a couple of really interesting ones today I wanted to talk to you about. And one is about, let me read it to you. Scientists in South Korea have supposedly managed to get induced behavior in rats by injecting drugs into them using chips and working out how to change them remotely. The amazing research at Korea Advanced Institute has even worked out how to change the device from outside the body. The Bluetooth enables nanochips to emit messages to the brain's neurons, and scientists believe it could eventually be used for Parkinson's and depression and things like that. The implants, basically what they're saying the fact that we can control a specific behavior of animals by delivering stimulation into the brain, just with a simple manipulation of something like a smartphone app, watching freely moving animals nearby is very interesting. The device is mounted in the brain with LEDs, very tiny, and the new and improved version incorporates wireless energy. Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, mental, mad.
Technology, I mean, you think about a lot of people now have pacemaker fitted. It's just the norm now. It's and if their heart fails, it automatically shocks it.
Yeah, that's right. But the other weird side of that is that people can hack into it and stop your pacemaker. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's mad.
Yes. Well, this is the thing with technology. It's a beautiful thing, and it can be a brilliant thing, but it can also, because on this, reading through it, it's also saying you can change behaviors with a smartphone. So where that leads.
Yeah, I know. I mean, talking about nanochips and whatnot, I've had a couple of friends actually seriously say to me, you know, they're not going to have this vaccine because of these, they're worried about all this nanotechnology being injected into them, you know, and I've heard so many crazy views from people who I thought were pretty rational people.
Yeah.
One guy I know has sold up and moved out to Africa because he's thinking that's, you know, we're going to have like a global shutdown and that's the safest place to be.
I wouldn't say that's safest there.
No, but I don't know. It's brought out some very peculiar behaviour in a lot of people. That's for sure.
It has mental health wise as well. Like I say, I was speaking to a specialist and no one's escaped, especially this last lockdown. You know, people can say it's not affected me. Well, it has, because even if you're still working, you are still set rules that you have to follow, and people are not used to that, and they don't like being out of control. So it has affected everyone, but where that's going to, now the other side of that is if it helps with Parkinson's and things like that, that will be a miracle. You know, that will be a brilliant thing.
Definitely.
Now a funny one. So the other story that I spotted, and this one makes me laugh. Google Maps users have spotted a homeowner's explicit rant on the top of their house. And speculation has been that he left it there after a request to blur their home. They found the house near Mississippi, US, and shared the picture of it, and it's blurred. Google offers to blur properties on a street view for privacy reasons, but it warns that once it's blurred, it's permanent. This user apparently asked that to happen. They didn't do it. So on the top of on the roof, he's wrote "fuck you" in big. I don't know whether he's spray painted it. So if you go on Google Earth, you've got this building with "fuck you" written.
That's mad. That's mad. The craziest thing I saw on someone's house that actually wasn't a gimmick. It was a permanent fixture. When I was at uni down in Oxford, someone had put, and it's probably still there, a massive shark coming out of the roof. So it's like the shark had
I think I've seen that, yeah.
I mean, why would you do that to your house? I don't know. But the privacy thing, you know, I do get that. But I'm kind of on the side of the fence that says, do you know what? If you've got a phone, they can track you. If you use a credit card, they can track you. I haven't really got anything that I wouldn't be willing to share with anyone. I know it's a moral question. Should everyone have access to everyone's information? But look, that's the times we live in. You're either going to fight against that or just accept it. You know, it's get on with your life, you know.
I totally agree with that, what you say, because I know in the past we've had people complain about privacy and things like that. But if you've got nothing to hide, who cares?
Yeah.
And if it means it's going to stop some crazy terrorist killing people, I'm all for it. You can look on our phone. There's nothing, there's nothing majorly dodgy on he says.
Exactly. No.
But, you know, it's these people that give it the big one. And at the end of the day, if it means we're going to be in a safer world, within reason, then I've got nothing to hide.
Well, it's like it's like they're saying about these vaccine passports now that you're not going to be able to travel abroad unless you've had the vaccine. I mean, personally, I've had COVID. I had it over Christmas.
Okay.
And, I didn't feel it. It was just like a runny nose for me, but I tested positive. Now, I never have the flu jab or anything like that. I know if I get this year in, year out, that, my body can probably cope with it. However, and I wouldn't choose to have it. However, if it means I'm not going to be able to travel or go away, then I'll have to have it, because I'm not willing to sacrifice. I travel a lot. I'm not willing to sacrifice that part of my life for the sake of some crazy conspiracy theory that they're trying to, put chips in us so they can kill us at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I think common sense prevails, and some people struggle with that, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's just too much thought. People are thinking way too much about it.
And also, it's a good point you were saying, because I was talking about holidays like everybody is now to my wife. And I was saying that if we were told we have to vaccinate, and then where we get to the complex, everybody's vaccinated in there and it's a safe environment, then I'm all for that, because I think some countries, you said Africa is a prime example, their tourism, and I think their poorer regions are really bad. They're going to struggle. So if they can open some of the regions so they can still have tourism there, then that's got to be a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm hoping to go next year to climb Kilimanjaro.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Well, I'm 50 next year, so I'm thinking I want to do something, memorable.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was 40, I was competing. So I think on my 40th birthday, I was weighing out grams of chicken and rice, which wasn't memorable. So, but yeah, I hope they get on top of this vaccine thing, so we can travel.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that about Kilimanjaro, because that's on my bucket list. It's something I'd
Oh, really?
But when I was younger, I thought I really wanted to climb Everest. And it's one of those things that I just never did. It was it's so expensive. You have to get sponsorship, and it was sort of a pipe dream.
It's about 60 grand to do Everest.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But Kilimanjaro is crazy as well. I mean, you can go to the Caribbean for 2 people for less than 3 grand. Kilimanjaro is about 3 grand each.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy money for 8 days.
Yeah, but like you say, it's one of those things. It'd be nice to do, and I think you need to prepare. Of course, you need to be fit and healthy, but not to the extremes of Everest.
No, but the thing about climbing anything is at altitude. You don't know how you can do all the prep you want to do. You can go on the Stairmaster 12 hours a day, but you don't know how your body is going to react to altitude until you're actually there.
Yeah.
It's always a bit of a gamble. So the best way to do these things is to do the ascent slowly so you can acclimatize. But you do get these crazy people. I've got a friend who's just done it. He's just done it in a few days, literally, up and down, no problem.
Risky,
but he's done Everest as well. So not really. That was walk for him. Crazy.
That sounds brilliant, though. Yeah, that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, like extreme physical challenges. I don't know. There's just something about that danger, not within limits, that appeals to me.
It's quite freeing as well. I remember when I was younger, I did the 3 Peaks challenge a few times.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
And we did it in a really low time. The second time, we did it in about 18 hours. But I was younger then, and I sort of just took it on and did it and enjoyed it. Now I'm getting older, I'm thinking I'd love to do that again and take it in again. I think when you're older, you appreciate things like that a lot more.
Definitely. So the 3 Peaks, is that Snowdon, Ben Nevis,
and Scarfell Pike? Yeah, Scarfell Pike.
Yeah. I mean, I've done them all, but I did them, enjoyed the views, soaked it all up. I mean, last year before last, we drove from here in London to Snowdon, climbed it, and came back the same day because it's a 4-hour drive. But I just wanted to go and get out,
And it's such a great feeling when you're at the top. It's such a great feeling, isn't it?
Especially if it's not cloudy and you can see. We could see the top of Snowdon was you could see for miles. But then
Oh,
we did Penny Fan,
yeah.
because that's the one that the special forces train on. You have to go up and down. Is it go up and down it in some crazy time, like 2 hours or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we got up there and it was completely cloudy. We couldn't see anything. So it wasn't as enjoyable. But yeah, good challenge though.
I mean, when we did it, we raised money for charity, which was great. But to be fair, it wasn't enjoyable because you didn't see it, because you were just constantly on the move. You were almost running, a real fast pace up and down. You didn't even, you touch the top, you come straight back down. But it was a great challenge. But also, you've got the travel time, and we had a lunatic mini bus driver.
Yeah.
Probably now I'm older, I'm like, slow down a bit. But then it was like. But yeah.
So do you know what the record is for the Three Peaks Challenge?
I think the Marines did it, but I can't remember what. But their time was really good. But I think they used helicopters or something like that. They weren't, because that's the thing. You can't have a record time because you could be in the middle of driving up to Scotland. It could be a traffic jam or something.
Exactly. Yeah, I think they should do that really, and almost discount the distance traveling, the time traveling, and just do it from the bottom to the top and back down again on each Three Peaks.
Yeah,
and then use that as your combined time. Because, like you said, if you get caught in a jam, or you drive like me at 50 miles an hour, you're never going to get time. No, I'm terrible. I'm driving Miss Daisy's got nothing on me.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Stick to the speed limit, kids. Anyway, so let's talk a bit about you, Oliver. Now, you've got a colourful career. Where did it all start? Was it at school or did you go uni? Give us a bit of an idea on that growing up.
Yeah, so I was a real skinny, painfully thin kid, and my dad was a very physical man. Played rugby into his 40s and very active and fit. And I think out of shame and embarrassment, he made me pick weights up, and we had this thing, the old ball worker that used to
loved it, yeah.
Squeeze it in like this. He used to get me on that, and I was rubbish. I mean, I couldn't do anything. I was, really hopeless. And then at school, because I was always very tall but really skinny, the whole NHS glasses and all the rest of it,
thick rims.
I just felt really, really self-conscious of myself. I think because my dad was quite an overbearing character.
Yeah.
He would push me, and you know what it's like with kids. The more you push them, the more they back away. I think his theory was the more he pushed me, I'd break, and okay, fine, I'll do it. But it actually went the other way, and the more I resisted, so and we lived with my dad, so it was quite. My mum wasn't there to say, oh, leave them kids alone and all this. So it was tough, and wasn't really until I left school in 1990 and went to Oxford Polytechnic, which is now Oxford Brookes now, that I could really be myself and, explore things that I wanted to explore. So that's when I really got into my training properly. And it was a great time. And then I finished uni, went back to work with my dad. And I think one day he was looking at, there was a trade paper called The Stage, which is probably still going. It's like a theatrical. Yeah, and he saw this job in there, this advert, looking for a muscle man for this low budget horror film. And he said, oh, I want you to go and give this a go. So I thought, okay, what the hell, gives me a few days off work. Went down, got the part. And that was my first real taste of it. I mean, before that, I'd been on game shows and, bits and bobs on TV and commercials, but no real acting as such. It was just me being me. So that film in 2000 was my first entry into the world of film, really. And I actually really enjoyed it and found, I'm enjoying this. I'm quite good at it. Let's see where this goes. And here we are today.
Do you thinking back to school, is there a time or a period when you think, actually, I remember in the school play when I really enjoyed it, or I used to enjoy drama, or your creative side. No.
Yeah, I mean, well, years ago in school, when I probably was, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, we did the school play. I remember I was supposed to fire this gun, and the gun didn't go off. And it was that moment where you either freeze and die, or you just make a joke of it. And
Yeah.
I remember making a joke of it, and everyone in the audience laughing and thinking, oh, this is great. They're laughing at something that I've done, rather than laughing at me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I embraced that feeling. And actually, I'm really drawn to comedy and yeah, making people laugh, finding something that makes people connect that really appeals to me.
I tell you what, though, comedy. I had a comedian on the podcast a while back, and it is a skill. You see these comedians, and you think, oh, they're just saying all these things, and they're really funny. They put a lot of work into it, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant. I just think they're genius. The stuff that they work on, you know. I mean, I'm not talking so much about The Office. The Office was good, but my favourite was Extras. Did you see Extras?
Oh yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Because I'm involved in the business, so so much of it is true. You meet these people. I mean, I was working with this girl on Guardians of the Galaxy, and she literally thought that this was going to. I mean, I think she was an extra or something.
Yeah.
She literally thought, that's it now. I'm booking the trip to Hollywood. Well, you're either being really, naive, or you. Yeah, she was deadly serious. But I'm not.
Was she young?
She was quite young. Yeah, she was quite young. And it's funny because I listened to your podcast with Giles.
Yeah.
And I got to the bit where he said, just don't do this. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Much better for your mental health not to do it. And I thought, I couldn't agree more, because if anyone says, they want to get into this, I would really say, unless you love being rejected, being passed over for someone who is worse than you, not doing anything for a year at a time, forget about it, because it really is. It's probably the only industry I can think of where you don't actually need to be talented to succeed. And that's the strange thing, you know?
It is strange. I mean, for myself, I'm lucky that I've always had a career outside of film, so it's sort of a hobby for me. I mean, I'd love to do it full time, but I'm not naive enough to think that this could be a full-time job, earn millions of pounds, because the reality is that doesn't really happen. And I think it's nice to come into it a bit later in life because you're a lot more wiser, a lot more experienced. But these young kids, especially, we talk about social media sometimes. Social media is terrible for it. For these young kids to see social media and think, wow, that's what I want to do. I'm going to, and it's wrong really, isn't it?
I mean, it's bad in that respect, but then it's good in the respect that it opens up opportunity to everyone. I mean, I remember back in 2000, you had to send a physical headshot, a physical CV, post it to apply for a job in a film, TV, or whatever. Getting an agent was very difficult back then. You had to be a member of Equity. Recently, a couple of years ago, I worked on a short film, and the couple of the cast were cast because of their social media following.
Yeah.
The numbers. Don't they say every 1 million followers you have is worth 10 grand per post or something that you make?
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
To be fair, they're usually really shit actors, though.
That's what I'm saying. It's not about talent. It's not about talent. It's just about the opportunity and, what they can get out of you. I mean, if you're a bad actor, but you've got 5 million followers, pretty much 5 million followers, they can guarantee are going to have a look at your work. drive numbers to it, and that's just the name of the game.
And don't get me wrong, these social media people, sometimes they work hard. These YouTubers, they've worked hard, for years and years, and posted lots of videos, and which is fair, fair play and good for them.
Yeah.
What is annoying is when you see the influencers flying off to Dubai and things like that. I think that gives the hard-working influencers a bad name.
Yeah.
That's when you're like,
I know there was a couple who did just that recently, flew off to Dubai, and I don't know. I think nowadays people are so desperate for those likes and follows. The links that they go to now are just getting more and more extreme. I mean, I can tell the actors because on their profile picture, there'll just be a headshot, it'll be like, So I'm going, okay, at least if I follow them, I know what I'm going to get. But some of these other people, you'll get like people lying down on train tracks and reciting Shakespeare and, while covering themselves in butter and, just...
What site's that? I haven't looked at that site.
Actually, that gives me an idea.
Yeah.
It's all out there, which, if you're young and impressionable, it's really bad.
Yeah. Now, we've talking about the film career, but let's go back a little bit because this interests me, your bodybuilding career, because it's always been something that's fascinated me. I've always trained, not nowhere near to that level, but I remember when you had the kit at home when I was a kid, and gyms weren't as accessible as they are now. So when lockdown happens, I'll just train in here or outside. Whereas my son, he's used to having a gym on his doorstep. And when that closed, his life, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So we're more old school, should I say. And
definitely.
To get to that level takes so much dedication. Where did that come from, Oliver?
Yeah, so basically, when I was at school, when I was around 13, I was excluded from a lot of sports because I wore glasses, and they were a lot more cautious who they let play contact sports, rugby, football, whatever. I just wasn't allowed. It's crazy. They had a really good gym. So and we used to play a lot of sport at school, and they don't really do that now, but we would probably do 3-4 hours a week of PE, physical activity. So I'd always be in the gym, and I was rubbish. Don't get me wrong, I was really rubbish, but that built somewhat of a foundation. And I thought, actually, do you know what? I can do this. I can set little goals and little challenges for myself, which in itself would make me feel like at least I'm improving, getting better bit by bit, And it's funny because that lesson that you learn from doing that stays with you in life, and it really helps you. The goal setting, commitment, determination, all those things I learned through training. But that was my foundation. And it took years and years and years. I mean, I didn't compete until I was nearly 40, so it took me a long time, but I got there.
Is that a goal that you had back then? Is that something you thought, right, I want to bodybuild, or did you sort of just train and get to a point where you thought, wow, I could?
No, I was like I say, 13, painfully skinny. Start becoming a bit more aware of your body, adolescence, and all that, and you think, I'm going to be driving soon. You're going to be going out to pubs, whatever, meeting girls. You need to look your best. So that became a motivation. And I found by the time I got to about 17, 18, I was quite good. I had a reasonable physique. I didn't look painfully thin like I did before. So when you see progress, it gives you a incentive to carry on. I did have a natural ability for weights. I was very athletic in my period of primary to secondary school. I was always in the school teams for, running and sprinting and things like that. I found I took to it really, really well and responded. As I got older, the more I responded.
How long did it take you? When did you decide you wanted to compete professionally? What age were you then?
I never wanted to compete ever.
Yeah.
I got to 38, and there was a big professional bodybuilder in the gym, and he said to me, "Have you ever thought about competing?" I'm like, "No, I'm not interested." He said, "Look, why don't you give it a go? I'll do you a diet plan and just give it a go." So I came at it from the point of view that, okay, this is going to be really uncomfortable for about 15 weeks. And for me, that was the incentive. I like to struggle. I like to feel that I'm clawing my way towards something. The end result isn't that important, but going through that difficulty, that's really powerful for me. That's my incentive. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. Did it, won my first show in, I think it was Solihull or somewhere in the Midlands anyway. And then I went on to, I got an invitation to the British finals, went to the British finals, and then won the British finals in my category, which was super heavyweight. So over 105 kilos, I think that was.
Yeah.
And then that was it. So, but yeah, coming from a place of never wanting to compete or having any interest in it, I won in my first year, British champion. So it was pretty cool.
It sounds to me, you know, like that is part of we talk about mental health, but you enjoy that challenge because it's something for you to go towards, a goal, and you're pushing yourself. Would that be right?
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's all about the struggle, because in life, I think we need to strive for something. We need to struggle for something. We need to work towards something bigger than day-to-day humdrum. You know, it can be anything. It can be wanting to get a better job, you know, wanting to improve your health and fitness, wanting to anything at all, whatever your goal is. But for me, yeah, the appeal is definitely that that fight, you know, and that fear, having that fear and going through it and overcoming that fear. So for me, I would say the main motivation is the fear of not living to my full potential, rather than the hope of anything coming of it. So yeah, that's interesting way of looking at it.
I totally understand that, because the way I work, I have to set goals for myself, and I try and set high goals as well, which and it's good for my mental health because I've got something to think about and something to challenge. But we're on about mental health today with a mental health expert, and with lockdown, the worst thing you can do is just get stuck in a rut. You know, even if it's just the little things, you can just get out of bed, get changed, go for a walk. I mean, people could keep saying, you know, exercise. Okay, you don't have to go running. You don't have to pick up weights. Just go for a walk. Just go in the garden, do a bit of gardening, but just do something, because I think there's nothing worse than wasted human potential. Seeing someone just sit there watching the telly and you think, and I always say to my kids, you can be anything you want, especially this day and age, but you have to work for it. It's not going to be easy, but you have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've kept my routine. So although I'm speaking to you at 11:30, I've trained 3 times and I've had 3 meals already. That's my normal routine. Yeah, because I'm normally in the gym at 6 a.m. I'm starting to train. Yeah. So by now, this is quite late in the day for me. Yeah. That's why I said to you, be good around 11:30, something like that, because I've got so much to do first thing. I don't have time to sit down, you know. So by the time 11:30, 12 comes, I've done the bulk of my workouts and eating. So I've got the rest of the day to be productive. So yeah, and that's my normal routine. So it's not an effort for me, and I've kept that up during these lockdowns. Get up at the same time, do the same routine. I mean, during the first lockdown, I was working out with packs of water. I didn't have any weights. You know, packs of water and doing pull-ups on the stairs, press-ups, squats with your own body weight. You just find a way to maintain your same routine, even though you haven't got the equipment.
Yeah, and you can't use excuses. Excuses are no good. There's always a way. You can look.
Find a way, make a way.
Yeah,
Find
definitely. I mean, I love the fact you've got that routine. Whether I could train 3 times from 6 o'clock, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, I need that. Like I said, I need that struggle. When you think about it, particularly today, because yesterday I trained my legs. So after the weekend, I eat a bit more and I relax a bit. And then I think, Monday morning, I've got to train legs. And that's never easy in the gym.
Yeah.
But to pull yourself out of bed and go downstairs in the nice warm lounge and find that mindset to work really hard, it's tough. But the feeling you have afterwards is worth more than the difficulty of doing it.
Absolutely. I mean, I do a bit of running. I'm not just on the road. I'll go cross country and just do 3 or 4 miles.
Yeah.
And I've never been a runner. I've never been a runner, but I've done it for years and years. It's part of my routine, like you say. Yeah. And I hate running. It really annoys me, but there's not one day I've come back from a run and felt bad. Yeah. I feel amazing. Yeah. And that's what you've got to think, isn't it? You've got to look to the end product.
Yeah, we're not, as humans, we're not made to just loaf around. We're meant to be outside, running.
Hunter-gatherers.
Doing stuff. Yeah, it's natural. I mean, we can't even sit properly. We're supposed to be able to sit with our calves. Do you know when you sit right down into a deep full squat?
Yeah.
They call it a yoga squat. That's how we're supposed to sit down. But we can't because we're so used to sitting in chairs. We've lost that flexibility to be able to do that. I mean, that's a basic human movement to be able to sit down, and we can't do it. So you need to be active. You need to maintain that.
Definitely. Good point. Okay, so we've done the bodybuilding. You've achieved that. And then what's your next goal? I would guess, obviously, we're going to get into your film career now. And you looked in the paper, the stage, and you spotted a few things. But was there a goal for you? Were you thinking, right, I want to be on a major feature film or TV series?
No. Again, I'm not. Someone said to me when I told them I was into acting, said, "Oh, you want to be famous then?" Or my niece, when she found out I had a couple of things on Amazon, she's like, "Oh, you're famous then now." It's almost like fame is the driver to do anything,
Yeah.
It's really sad, because what happened to actually just doing something because you enjoy it rather than wanting to get something out of it, Quite honestly, if I was doing this because I wanted things out of it, I would have stopped a long time ago. It's like, for me, it's like training. It's just something that I really enjoy. And if anything comes of it, that's a bonus.
Yeah. So when did you first have a job where you thought, oh, I really enjoy that? Was it as soon as you started doing the extra work, or?
No. I mean, the first big acting job I did was in 2003, which was a kids game show. It was like Gladiators for kids,
right.
but it was on primetime ITV. And I think 3 o'clock. It was called CITV at the time. It was kids ITV. And I played one of the main Gladiator characters on that show, and that was a really big production. And I remember thinking, this is where I want to be, and obviously you play a character, you really enjoy it. You see all the kids. We had great interaction with the kids, and the kids believed this character that I was playing. And I just got such a warmth from that, being an entertainer. It was just, I don't know, something that I hadn't felt in anything else that I'd tried. And trust me, my dad had pushed me into a lot of different, career possibilities. But doing that was the best feeling. And then the following year, I did another major TV drama, which is on all the time. It's called Rosemary and Thyme. It's
yeah. I thought you were going to say Midsummer Murders then.
no, no.
That's similar though, Rosemary and Thyme, isn't it?
Pam Ferris and Felicity Kendall, and
Just
they
having a
sell
look.
that.
Just having a look now. Oh God, yeah, I have seen this.
Yeah.
Yes. How was that?
Yeah, amazing. Because I had a really, really funny scene in that show.
Oh, did you?
Great scene, lots of dialogue. Working with Pam and a great actor called
love
Simon.
Pam Ferris.
Yeah, amazing. But again, that was another one of the big moments back in 2003 where I thought, I really enjoy this and I'm going to stick at it. As hard as it gets, I'm just going to go with it.
Did you have any formal training or anything like that, Oliver?
No, I didn't have any formal training because, that wasn't something that my dad was interested in me doing. My dad wanted me to go in the army. I mean, that was horrendous. He used to send me on these away days, these army away days, where you'd go for the weekend and go through all the courses and whatnot. And I did well and everything, and I got through to this selection process where if I passed the medical, I'd go on and I would have been in the army. But army, it was when you go to do the officer training, go to Sandhurst, all that. But I actually failed the medical because of my eyesight.
Yeah.
And back then, you weren't allowed to wear contact lenses, and they were really strict. So that was it. That was that career over before it started. So my dad was like,
it's funny how things work themselves out, though, doesn't it? And you tend to find your path. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, some people find it a lot earlier than others. It took me I was quite late in the day, really, for me, because I still didn't know what I wanted to do when I finished uni. I was 23, 24, not really knowing, and then it all started to kick off.
I mean, people say that about being younger, and I always think it's easy to beat yourself up and think, I wish I'd have done this when I was younger. But I quite enjoy being a bit older and a bit more experienced, and I think you wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, and it's more of a journey. God, if I'd been at uni when I was younger or did well in films when I was younger, I'd never be in the place I am now where I appreciate things a lot more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, do you know what? For uni, for me, it wasn't about studying to do something with it. For me, it was just about getting away and being able to enjoy myself with my own space, because my dad was so overbearing. I just wanted to get away from him. Back then, you didn't have to pay for uni. Tuition was all free. I got a student grant, and I was working. I did security at the student union, so I was getting paid for that. I was actually making money as a student. That's crazy. I wanted to stay on. I actually wanted to stay another year, but and I was living on campus in the halls as well. So it was a touch. I absolutely loved it. They had an amazing gym, because obviously it was Oxford. Oxford University used our gym to train all the boat people, the boat race people, or the row. It was great times. But you're right. You find your way at your own pace, and I don't have any regret. I would say, the way you should live really is never to regret anything that you've done. No, if anything, you want to regret the things you haven't done.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Right, now I'm just having a look. I've just thought I'll bring you up because I had a look earlier. Now, is that Cardinal Burns? I think I remember watching this. It was a funny series. It went under the radar a little bit. A lot of people didn't see this.
Yeah.
But I thought it was hilarious. These guys were
both very good, very clever guys.
Really funny. And you played an angry man.
Angry man, yeah. But I've cut that scene because the start of that scene, I'm doing all this coke. I'm like sniffing all this coke, doing all these lines of coke. And then I come up and I'm like doing like a total roid head freak out. And then we have a lot. There's a fair bit of swearing goes on, and then we have that little scene. But for Instagram, I've had to cut that right down because it just no, that would not have worked. That would not have worked.
That's the problem, isn't it? Now with social media, you've got to be squeaky clean.
You've got to be squeaky clean. But like comedy like that, and playing against the sort of character that I am with the physicality, that really appeals to me. I do enjoy that. Playing a bit stupid, a bit simple maybe, but with a good heart. I really enjoy that character.
And then I've seen that you were in Nativity 3. Good old Debbie, is it?
Every year. Were you in? I'll go to the gym. There'll be new people training in the gym. Sorry, mate. Can I have a word? Yeah. What's up? Were you in? Nativity 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Good old Debbie. Debbie, is it just up the road in Coventry? Bless her. She's done such a great job with that. I went to one of the premieres and met her, and she's lovely. She's done so well.
She's really nice.
And I'll tell you what's brilliant as well, which I saw probably 2 or 3 years ago, was the musical, Nativity the Musical. Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that. I heard about it.
Oh, it's so funny. It's brilliant. Yeah. It's like a pantomime, but it's like for adults and kids. But if ever you get a chance, no doubt when things go back to normal, they'll run it every Christmas.
I wonder if they used, because I don't think the kids were actors, were they, in the film?
No.
Yeah. I wonder if they were acting in the musical.
I don't know. I think they try and use local talent from local stage schools. So they will have had a bit of training, but it's just great. Now, Kingsman, the Secret Service. That's that was some film, weren't it? What was that one? How did you get that one?
So basically they were looking for pretty tall kind of army types, and that just fell into that role really. Went down there, we did a big shootout scene. It's funny because I do all these things expecting that I'll get some good material for my show reel, and then inevitably they'll cut. There'll be nothing left. So there was nothing left of that scene that I could actually use. I had a good scene in that, but again, cut. So much like Vikings.
But the other thing is, like you say, it's the experience. And what's it like? So you said Guardians of the Galaxy, Kingsman's a massive feature. What's it like? What was it like when you first went on one of those sets and saw such a bit, where money's no object, really?
Yeah, money's no object. I'm trying to think of, I can't think of the first really, really big production that I worked on, but the one that I remember very much was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, money, no object. And I was working with Dave Bautista quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it really is next level. I mean, saying that, when I was working on Vikings as well, it was the production budget on that last series was monumental. I mean, some of the battle scenes, the amount of extras. I mean, there were people like 300 extras.
Wow.
You feel that pressure. You feel, there's 3 cameras. There's 50 people behind the camera. Director's got to get on with the next scene. I remember my lines. Does he remember his lines? It's all pressure. And then, particularly say on Vikings, a lot of it's shot at dusk or when the light's fading. So you don't have a lot of time to get your scene done before it's too dark.
Yeah. Pressure's on. Whereabouts was that? Where did you go to film that?
So that was in Ireland, in County Wicklow.
Right, okay, because a lot of Game of Thrones was filmed over there as well. I don't know whereabouts. But...
Same area. I auditioned for Game of Thrones 5 or 6 times, but I didn't get into do that, which is a shame. Some of the guys that I worked with on Vikings were actually in Game of Thrones as well, and they said that again the production values were just off the scale. you just can't imagine. I mean, I've posted some bits up on my Instagram of sort of behind the scenes of Vikings and whatnot, but yeah, you know, it's just mad the amount of money that's involved in these things.
I think the other thing with these big productions, what people don't realise is it's the whole package. You know, things from people who are building the scenes, carpenters, workmen.
Yeah.
It's a massive production that means a
Yeah.
lot, employs a lot of people, and is
Yeah, hundreds of people.
brilliant for the economy.
Yeah, hundreds of people. Did you hear that rant that Tom Cruise went on?
Yes.
You know what, though? Do you know what? As funny as it was to hear him, he was absolutely right, because he was saying, you don't realise that you not wearing your mask is going to get this production shut down. And if this production is shut down, hundreds of people are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
So he wasn't just ranting because of his own, you know, thoughts. He was just thinking about everyone on the production as a whole. And you're right. You know, from the makeup people down to the costume dressers to, I mean, they have people that repair the weaponry. You know, all these things that you don't see. They're all, you know, employed people.
Yeah, and I'll totally agree with you on the Tom Cruise thing. I mean, maybe he shouldn't have gone about it as he did, but you know, they've been filming a long time as well. So you get into the end, you're thinking, wow, we've managed to get through it, filming while COVID's on, and then you see these pair of idiots standing talking to each other right next to each other, and you think, and if that does get closed down, like you say, it affects everybody. And I think he's put a load of money into this one as well, hasn't he?
He's put a lot of money in, and obviously, you know, he's talking to the studio who have put a lot of money in. And I mean, the budgets on these things now, I remember when, you know, 50 million was a lot of money for a film. Now you're into 200 million, probably 250, you know.
Yeah. Now that is a good point, because how do you think COVID is going to affect the film industry? Because the big boys, Top Gun, we talked about Tom Cruise, Bond, these are how I think it's going to go. These 200 million plus budgets, people are going to be a lot more cautious, the studio execs and things like that, because they're going to be worried about getting that money back now. And I think it's going to make people a lot more creative. I mean, from my side, being an indie filmmaker where I've got no money, we've always been using our initiative anyway. But I think where people before, like Bond, was just silly money, they're going to be they're going to be a lot more cautious now, aren't they?
Definitely. I think cinema really is going to struggle now from this point onward. I mean, the rise in, you know, Netflix, Amazon, so many people, so many actors now are working with streaming services. I think Ricky Gervais signed up to Netflix for however many years or whatever. I think really that's the future now. And I think filmmakers like yourself and people that are doing stuff, you know, on not a huge budget, I think that's the way forward. I mean, I would have not considered doing a non-paid job before lockdown. And just before lockdown, someone approached me with a script for a two-hander. So it's just me and another guy. And because I enjoyed the script so much, I did it, even though it was unpaid. That film's actually on Amazon, but yeah, I didn't get paid for it. But working, getting out there, being creative, again, that's for me, that's worth it, rather than the actual bottom line of what am I getting out of this. And then lockdown hit, so you know, you're going to be seeing a lot more of that for sure.
Yeah, it is worrying. I mean, I love the cinema, but I just hope it can recover, or it's going to have to be, if you go to the cinema, it's going to have to be more of an experience and more of an event, I think, because people are going to be paying over the odds. Whereas the smaller films now, like you say, you've got a lot of platforms that they can try and get onto.
Yeah, I mean, cinema is so expensive that, you know, the last film I saw at the cinema, I think it was one of the Star Wars. I think it was the second new Star Wars. and I think it was like 25 quid each or something crazy.
It's ridiculous.
And it was just, it's really, really expensive. And it wasn't an event. Didn't feel, particularly special. So I think streaming is really going to take off, and I think that's the new cinema, really. But there's something about going out and seeing a film, and just getting out of the house. That's the thing.
Yeah. And so obviously you're in Vikings on. I think was that your last job, or what are you up to in the future?
Yeah. So Vikings I did that end of 2018.
All right.
And then I did a short film and another feature that's on Amazon as well. And then lockdown came. And that's really, although I've been auditioning, I mean, I might audition maybe 30 times in a year. Last year, I think I had 8 or 9. So you can see the effect that it's having. So I've been trying to be a bit more creative and, try and look to contact people, that filmmakers and, writers and stuff. And I just want to do some collaboration stuff, anything to keep that creativity going. Although it looks like we're coming to the end of this terrible time now.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So hopefully going forward, it won't be as bad.
Yeah. And is that the only thing you've got on at the minute? Is your acting? What?
Yeah. I mean, there's same for anyone else, really. I've just been trying. I mean, I've got a script that I need to get through, but that film hasn't got funding, so I don't know if that's going to be on the back burner. But I mean, it's funny because I was waiting for Vikings to come out for so long, because I thought, at least I'll have a really big scene to put on my reel. It came out, and I'm pretty sure they had some Vikings in the cutting suite, because my scene ended up on the floor, dying, bleeding to death. Yeah, that was really hard. I actually took that really hard. I think it was a combination of the whole lockdown thing, not being able to be out, train. Yeah, I actually took that. That was the first time when I felt that kind of heaviness in my heart, that something I'd waited so long for, that potentially would have been so good, just didn't happen. But like you said earlier, look at the positives. Got 3 episodes on the shows, on my CV, met some good people, and I did audition for that over 20 times. So finally got on there in the end. So it wasn't so bad.
It goes back to what we said earlier. If you want to be in this business, that's what you're looking towards, and you've got to be determined and just enjoy the ride and the experience. I have rejection letters scattered around here where I look everything, and keep smiling at them. And that's the mindset you've got to be in if you want to be in this industry. Yeah,
I mean, it's really, really tough, because there's a film with Richard E. Grant called With Nail and I.
Classic, yeah.
Anyone who wants to act or get into the business, I'll say to them, go and watch that film, because that's the reality of acting. Eating beans out of a can, and just horrible life. Rain coming in through, just horrible. So if you can put up with that and still enjoy the process, then maybe you've got a shot. But like I said, it's got to be one of the only things where having just raw talent isn't enough. You need to have the opportunity to present that talent, and the persistence to want to be able to continue to present that talent, despite all the rejection that you're going to get. I'm quite lucky, because there aren't too many people with my kind of physicality and look, or whatever you want to call it. So when they're looking for a character who fits my description, they're drawing from a much smaller pool
Yeah.
of people who say, well, we're looking for a guy who's 5'8", brown hair, brown eyes, about 25 years old. I mean, you know, that's literally thousands of people. But I guess that's been my in, if you like. But listen, you've got to claw your way to get yourself through that door any way you can. I mean, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? You know, yeah.
I've been doing that for a while, yeah. And I suppose,
Yeah,
well, I mean, I
that's
suppose
true.
that really brings me on to the next question, which is, what's the best bit of advice maybe you could give or you've been given on your journey?
I would say, be your own competition. Don't compare yourself to other people. You know, your definition of success is not going to be the same as anyone else's. So it's no good looking on Instagram and, you know, seeing someone who just come out of I don't know, drama school into a major film or something like. Oh, what's the name of the guy who did just that? I think he played Legolas in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Orlando Bloom.
Orlando. I think he hadn't even finished, or he just finished, or something. Went straight into Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Or who's that the Irish actor? I think who's that good-looking Irish guy? Oh,
you have to give me
Troy. It was in Troy. Colin Farrell.
Oh God, yeah.
I think he left drama school and he did a series called Ballykiss Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was him. You know, these things don't happen. Forget about that. They just don't happen. Just measure your own success against yourself. And I would say as well, question everything. Find what someone has done to be in that position where they've achieved their goals, and then see how that fits with what works for you. So it's called mirroring. You know, there's this thing called NLP.
Yeah.
If you look at all these health books, if you want to find someone successful and you mirror their behavior, then according to that theory, then you'll become successful. But it doesn't always work like that. You have to, you know, see what works for you, and then adapt accordingly. So those bits of advice: be your own competition, measure success against yourself, and if you're talking about from an acting point of view, definitely the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
You love that saying, don't you? Hey, it's funny you say that about the successful, because I didn't really ask you, but Dave Bautista, what was he like to meet? Was he a nice guy?
Dave is a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Really nice guy. We trained together. He's just a guy who loves doing what he's doing, loves training, loved his wrestling, obviously. He's a really quiet guy. You know, he collects lunchboxes. Yeah, I said, so what are you into? He goes, yeah, I like collecting vintage lunchboxes. And I thought he was joking, so I didn't laugh. Luckily, he was like, yeah, I'm trying to get hold of this one. He showed me a pic. I'm trying to get hold of this, but it's a really rare lunchbox edition, whatever. All right,
Peppa Pig.
yeah, yeah, like the old school 50s American.
Oh,
metal.
right, okay, vintage, yeah. But I mean, I would guess the same as everyone. He works hard. He's had a hell of a career.
Yeah, he's worked hard, and I think he was surprised. I think Guardians was his first kind of his breakout. Really.
Yeah,
he'd done a couple of bits before that, but I think Guardians was his breakout, and I think he just felt very grateful and appreciative. Now, I really like Dwayne Johnson, but when I was chatting to him, I got the impression that he doesn't switch off from his public persona. You know, you never get the idea that you're talking to Dwayne rather than, you know, The Rock. Because he never lets his guard down.
Yeah.
So even though we did a little bit of training, there's nothing. You know, it was quite difficult to get anything out of him. I said to him, "Do you never have a day off?" He's like, "No." So the work ethic is there.
I mean, I've seen interviews with him and things like that, and where he came from to where he is now, he is just a workhorse. And I think,
I mean, they were skint. They didn't have any money or anything.
Yeah,
I think the only thing he had going for him really was his dad. His dad was a wrestler, and that's like many people. He wanted to get into it, and it worked out for him. It doesn't hinder him that he's a super good looking guy either. Of course,
he still puts his own socks on in the morning, Oliver. Well, maybe he don't.
Probably. Who knows?
Now, I always ask my guests for a favourite. It can be a film, a TV show, a book. I know you've said you've got a few, but just give us one. Go on, give us a favourite.
So I would say, I won't say film because again I've got too many. But if I was to read a book again, it would be a book by a lady called Susan Jeffers, and it's called "Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway."
All right, I'll write
Feel
that.
Fear and Do It Anyway. It's a really clever book because it's not all overly scientific or techy. It just goes through explaining the emotion of fear and what is happening in your body chemically to make you feel that way. So it explains it in really simple terms. And actually, when you read it, you think, actually, me being afraid of this situation is just a natural, primal response that my body is making me feel. It's not actually something that I am afraid of. It's that caveman instinct in my brain telling me to be afraid. So if you're in a situation where your nerves are getting hold of you, or you've got to make a speech, or particularly with acting, you're going to do a scene or whatever, remembering some of the principles from that book, I've personally found really, really helpful. I mean, there aren't many situations that I've not done now. I've been on stage in my pants.
You don't get better than that.
If you can do that, you can pretty much do anything, can't you? Let's face it. I've been in some situations where I think really I should just, put my head down and run out of there. But you realise it's all experience. It's all making you stronger as a person. Arnold put it perfectly the other day when he did that speech. Did you see that speech that Arnold did?
Yeah.
He got his sword out from Conan. He was like, you put the sword in the fire and make it stronger, and then in the water, and it's true though. The more difficult things you go through, really these things just water off the duck's back.
Yeah, you have to turn, and I know we keep saying it, but you have to turn it into a positive, and it's true. You have to. Otherwise, we're all doomed.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, look, if people want to see you on Instagram or social media, Oliver, where would they look?
So my Instagram is Oliver Price Official. Someone had stolen Oliver Price, so I had to stick that official bit on the end. And that's the same as my Facebook. And I'm on Twitter as well. So yeah, you can just type my name into Twitter and I'll show up. But I do actually on that point, I do always reply if someone wants to ask me something. Don't feel that they can't send a message and ask me a question. I'll always reply. It might take me a day or two to respond, but I don't want to be one of these people who's putting a message out there and then someone might say, "Oh, I can really connect with that. Can I just ask you something else about that?" And then they don't reply. I think that's the worst thing.
Yeah.
So I will always make time. Yeah.
Oh, that's a brilliant thing to say, Oliver. To finish the interview on, I absolutely loved speaking to you. We've had a right old natter.
Worries.
So I'm glad you've enjoyed it. And once COVID's finished, I'll be looking forward to seeing what you're doing next, because you will get this role where it don't get cut of Vikings. What's the next Game of Thrones one? I could see you in there.
No, they're not. Is it all? It's all prequels now, isn't it? They're all
Yeah.
doing, yeah, the prequels. I know because I spoke to my agent about doing the Vikings prequel, and he said because I was a character in Vikings, I can't be then another character in the prequel. I didn't say to him, but have you seen the scene? They killed the scene. But no, the casting director, they won't do that. If you've been in it as a character, they won't do it. But
Yeah.
maybe the Game of Thrones, I don't know.
I think there's a lot in development of different Game of Thrones knockoffs, but they'll put the money into that. But putting the money into an episode, a pilot is a different ball game, isn't it? Because I know Jane Goldman was writing one, and then that fell by the wayside. So,
the location in Ireland it's an incredible location. The studio's there. It's a multi-million-pound studio, and it's just crying out for these kind of historical epic dramas. So I'm sure there'll be more stuff going on as soon as this all ends.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look after yourself, Oliver. It's been an absolute pleasure, and
welcome.
We'll speak to you soon.
All right, take care.
Okay, take care. Okay, so that's it. Massive thanks again to Oliver for joining me today, and also to you for listening or watching, wherever you're seeing the platform or listening. Now, make sure you follow the podcast, because coming up over the next months, there are some more extraordinary interviews. The podcast will be streaming on the usual platforms, including iTunes and Spotify. So please leave a rating on there and subscribe. To keep up to date, follow Facebook, which is My Way of Thinking Podcast. Instagram, My What Podcast. I'm losing my voice today. And also Twitter, which is My Way of Thinking, with a 3 on the end instead of a G. Every week I also put the whole conversation on YouTube, My Way of Thinking Podcast. And finally, if you want to get in touch or you think you may be a great guest, email me. It's mywhatpodcast@aol.com. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, I need to go to bed. Until next time, God bless and take care.